Greetings. Hi. Welcome to my live. Hi. Oh, I know this is like crazy, but greetings, everyone, and welcome to my live. My name is Miss Education. You can also call me Miss Asia or Asia Davis. And welcome to my live. Welcome to Miss Education Educates. All right. So we're going to be getting into a little bit, but if you're new here, welcome. I am like I said before, my name is Miss Edge, and I'm trying to get used to this live, y'all. So bear with me. But welcome to the channel. I am so excited to be here, you guys. I have just been thinking about today, and I just looked through my analytics, and today is my channel's birthday. So happy birthday to our channel. Um, wow, it's definitely been quite the journey, and I'm super excited to be with you all today. So let's see here. We're gonna go ahead and um, get started here. All right, and some of this I'm gonna have to probably edit out, but that's okay. Make this a little bit more cleaner, which is the reason why I go live now, guys. All right, so greetings, everybody, and like I said, welcome to my channel. My name is Miss Education, or also called Miss Asia, and welcome to Asia Educate. So on this channel, we talk about everything all education and being the best home educators as possible. So if you're a parent and you're trying to get a leg up on your child's education, you are in the right place. All right. So today we're going to be talking about 5 key strategies that will help you kick off this school year. All right. You guys know back to school is in full effect. All right. Some people are already starting the first week in August, some a little bit later, but guess what? You can prepare now so that your child is successful coming up in this school year. So I have just a few tips and just a little background information about myself before I even get into those tips. I was a former educator. I was an educator for over 11 years. I was a licensed educator for 6 years. And I worked in the public school system also for 10 plus years. And I also tutored on the side as well through college as an elementary education teacher and on. So I have been in the ins and outs of everything as far as education goes. I am also a mom of 2 with one on the way. And I switched over from being in the classroom to actually now I teach at home. And my kids are toddlers, but I also tutor and I teach kids that are a little bit older. Hello, Kiara. Welcome to my channel. Welcome, guys. So I'm just giving you guys just a few tips so that you guys can just, even if you're homeschool, if you do private school, public school, whatever you want to do, your child can excel this year. Okay. So I'm super excited to have you guys, and let's go ahead and get into it. So, let's see here. I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Kiara. Welcome to my channel. We are about to be getting into it here very shortly. So number one, when it comes to educating your child, number one, and getting them ready for the new school year, because I am also a Christian parent, I always make sure that number one, you ask for provision from Christ. All right. So I have a scripture for you guys. It says, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path." That's Proverbs 2:16. And of course, even before you get started on planning, go ahead and pray about what your child needs for this school year. All right. And just to get that as an established way. Oh, awesome, Kiara. Well, that's awesome. So some of these tips might help you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be really, you want to pray about what, because each home is different. So you're gonna just come to God and you'll be like, okay, God, like, what do I need this year? What does my child need to learn this year? What do you want me to teach my child this year? Okay, because all of our situations are different, all of our routines are different, our backgrounds are different. So it's really important to just ask the one above, for some help, and he will definitely do that. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and yeah. So, and of course, what else we're gonna do is that, let me see. Oh snap. Let me see. So what you're going to do is you're just going to kind of focus on that, and then you're going to make sure that, hey, like, as I'm educating my child, or whatever case may be, just bring to the Lord. He's going to tell you all his plans and all what he wants your family to do specifically. And these are, of course, people of faith. If you are of faith, that would be a thing that you do. Okay. All right. All right. So my second strategy. So number one, you're going to ask God. You're going to ask for provision. You're going to pray about it. Okay. Number two, you're going to begin preparing. Okay. So everybody's preparation is different, but you're going to do the basics. You're going to get your curriculum together. If you're homeschooled, you're going to make sure you have supplies. Make sure the kiddos, if they need to re-up on some clothes, I know this is a big time for, families to start buying more clothes because, the kids grow like crazy, right? So of course you're going to want to do that. And this preparation is just going to help you just get established, right? So you're going to gather supplies, uniforms, lunch plans, transportation arrangements, and then, of course, you're going to know what your calendar looks like as a parent, right? So you're going to make sure that, hey, if you know that, little Johnny starts soccer right around the time that school starts, you're going to try to plan that out and make sure that it's as smooth as possible, okay? So if you do not have a plan and you're not prepared, you are preparing to fail. So make sure you're constantly making sure that you are doing that, okay? So let me see here. I'm sorry to hear that, Lyria Davis. I'll be praying for your doggy. All right. But anyway, so those are the things. So number one, of course, you're going to pray about what do you need to do, right? Two, you're going to try to be prepared. All right. For you homeschool moms out there, or homeschool parents in general, what you're going to want to do is you're going to start wanting to plan field trips during this time, as you kind of know when you're going to start school, but right before, you're going to make sure you want to start a look at field trips. What co-op is your child going to attend? What curriculum are they going to have? If you need to, get more of certain supplies and things like that, you're going to want to get all of those things. And that's the same thing for the parents that also have public school kids, all right? So if your child is going to public school, of course, make sure they have a supply list, make sure they have their clothes, but make sure also at home there is an area that your child can study, that your child can focus, that your child can be successful as well. So you can begin getting that area together as well. Okay. So also when you are doing this planning, you're not planning like necessarily the whole year in detail, but you're just getting a big snapshot of what you want your year to look like in your planning. Okay. And so by planning, you're also avoiding a lot of any chaos. Okay. So number one, like I said, you're going to ask for provision. Number two, you're going to plan. All right. Okay. And then number three, we're going to establish positive behaviors and routines. Very good, HT Joe. Yes. Teach them financial literacy. They will work for their, yes, exactly. I'm actually about to get into that. That's crazy you say that, HTD Joe, because we're about to get into that. That's actually one of my other strategies coming up, right? So one thing about my channel is that we're not going to just talk about just straight academics and structured, like typical learning. We're also going to be talking about thinking outside the box and making sure that your child's not just prepared in the classroom and just to do those standards and do what's, in a typical, academic framework. But we're also going to be talking about how to just make them an overall generalized, great student, successful student for society. Okay, so that means financial literacy. That means thinking outside their box. That means kind of researching things on their own, learning from the environment around them, going to the park and understanding things about life through actual experiences, and not just sitting there and just doing a bunch of worksheets. We are not a worksheet channel. Okay, so it's crazy that you said that, HT Joe, because that's what we're doing here, and that's actually coming up a little bit later. But let me go ahead and go into strategy 3. You're going to establish positive behavior and routines. Okay. Now, this is like a big one because especially if your child goes to public school, this is going to be something that you're probably going to have to, because they're not going to be with you. So you're going to have to lay that groundwork. Hopefully you've been laying that groundwork anyway all their lives. But now is the time to rein it back and really be like, hey, you're about to start school soon. So you're about to be in a whole nother level as far as your behavior goes. Okay. So number one, when it comes to establishing positive behavior and routines, you're going to start the routines now. Okay. Especially with the school year coming up a month or so ahead, or a week, or however long it is ahead. you're going to want to start those routines now. So that means that bedtime needs to be established, because you know sometimes summer you kind of let your kids stay up a little bit longer and stuff like that. Like you're going to kind of wean that back, and you're going to slowly start to incorporate your morning routine. Like what does that look like? What time are they going to be getting up, right? So if they're going to be getting up 7 o'clock in the morning, go ahead and get them used to getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning. If they're going to be going to bed at 10 o'clock at night, at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, make sure you do that. Make sure you're establishing that routine to make sure they get in bed at that time. So then when school starts, you're not over here rushing and being late and it's all extra chaotic because you didn't prepare your kids' sleep schedule ahead of time. So make sure you get that evening routine down, get that morning routine down. Go ahead and start meal planning if you can for lunch, if you're going to be paying for lunch, buying lunch, etc. Now for my homeschool parents, yours is going to be a little different because obviously your kids are going to be with you, but you can also start going ahead and preparing their minds for that change, right? Because, you know, it depends on what type of homeschool you do, but for the summer times, you can be a little bit more lenient. So now you're going to actually kind of be a little bit more structured and do the same thing. Setting that morning routine, setting that nighttime routine. Whenever your family's going to get up, that's when you're going to go ahead and get those things done, right? You're going to, I already talked about sleep schedule. And then you're going to, not only that, but you're going to set clear behavior expectations for the year. Okay? So yes, even if your child's in public school, you're going to set those clear expectations for your child, because guess what? If your child is well behaved, they're already going to be ahead of everybody else who's acting out. Okay? And they're also going to be looked at as leaders in the public school systems. So either way, whether homeschool, public school, whatever, make sure you're establishing those behavior expectations, making sure your child understands how to listen to authority, how to respect authority, how to, speak respectfully to other people, being respectful, listening. If they have to raise their hand, know how to raise their hand, all of that stuff, go ahead and start having those conversations with your child. And then also go ahead and start telling them about the consequences that's going to happen if they do not establish those behavior routines. And you can always practice at home. I mean, of course, they should be practicing good behavior at home anyway, all the time. But it's very good for you to go ahead and establish those school type of behaviors and expectations in the home, so that if they do go to an outside institution, they're already setting themselves up for success. Because guess what? A focused and well-behaved child is going to learn better than someone who is, more distracted and not behaving themselves, not being respectful. And a lot of time is wasted with that. So the teacher's going to help, the teacher's going to thank you, and then your child will thank you in the future, because they're like, wow, I didn't have to waste as much time. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So number one, like I said, you're going to ask for provision. You're going to pray about let me go and start from the beginning. How is back to school going? How are we going to make our kids successful during back to school? Some of the strategies we have is, number one, we're going to pray about it. We're going to ask for guidance, etc. Number two, we're going to, did my computer just die? Sorry, I have my notes up here. But yes, so we're going to prepare, right? Routines, schedules, plans, etc. Supplies, we're going to get that. Number three, we are going to make sure that we are focused, and that we are focused on our child behaving themselves, behavior expectations, setting those behavior expectations for the new school year, and also that their routines are also set up very well. Okay, hold on one second, y'all. My little computer was plugged up, but I think it's fine. Okay, there we go. I was like, I thought. Oh, that's why. I thought it was plugged up this whole time. See, that's what happens when you're not. Y'all bear with me. This is my first time doing a live. And yes, I gotta get my little clutter, my little clutter area together. All right, it's my little tutoring desk as well. So, but yes, we're gonna do all of those things. So, y'all bear with me. My notes are coming back up. But anyway, so if you have all those things established, what's going to happen is you're going to be prepared for the new school year. Your child's going to be prepared, and they're going to be any type of tasks that you have for them, they're going to knock it out. Okay. They're going to be doing some A1 stuff, okay? All right, and you won't be looking like my thumbnail, okay? Like running around with, like a chicken with its head cut off. Just like, I don't know what to do. It's all. Because that first week, especially when you're starting school, any type of school, homeschool or whatever, it's a little rough. It's definitely a little it's definitely something that you have to adjust to and you have to get used to. So my little computer is over here doing an update. Did it need an update? Oh wait, hold on. I'm trying to. Oh, my computer is over here doing some real funny stuff. Okay, shoo. They had me do like a whole bunch of other stuff trying to get me to buy Microsoft. I already have Microsoft. Okay, I don't need to do that. Okay, so right now I actually that's a good question, Joe. So right now, as an educator, I actually work with basically I would say late elementary school into middle school right now. And I'm also obviously I teach my own kids. My kids are toddlers. So I teach them and I also tutor online, but I'll be taking a break from that just a little bit to have my little one, but then I'll be back to doing that and actually tutoring kids one-on-one and in small group coming up in the spring. So I'll be taking a little break, but yeah, that's kind of what I typically do. That's a good question. Thank you so much for participating, you guys. And if this type of content really interests you, go ahead and of course like, comment, subscribe, and we're gonna go ahead and continue to just be just overall great parents. Okay, and overall great educators. I know people be like, oh, just because your kid goes to school, that does not necessarily mean that that's all the education they have to get. We are the first stop of education all of our kids get. If you're a parent, you're an educator, period. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna restore. I'm so sorry. I was a little delayed. I had a little technical issue. That's because that's what happens when you're live. Okay, I just gotta roll with the flow. At least you guys can see my real personality. You know, and I feel like sometimes with the videos, I'm more rigid. But if it's on live, I just feel a little bit more, relaxed. So that's really good. All right, y'all. So we're gonna do. All right. So just like I said, a little recap. Here are some back to school strategies. Some 5 key strategies that will help kick this school year off as a real success for both you and your child. Number 1, you're gonna ask for provision. You're gonna pray about the school year. Number 2, you are going to begin being prepared. So that means, of course, getting your supplies, planning for the year, lunch plans, etc. All right, you are going to just basically plan for any type of to prevent chaos. Basically, know what your calendar looks like. If you're homeschool family, you're planning field trips. You're kind of aligning your curriculum with your activities, etc., etc., etc. All right. Number 3, you're going to establish positive behavior and routine. So you're going to go ahead and start getting the kids to bed early. You're going to make sure that they have positive behavior. All right. Going over your rules and expectations. And it should be based off your morals as well. So making sure your kids know how to, listen, how to, talk to adults, how to talk to children, how to talk to their peers, how to work with other people, how to share, etc. You're going to go ahead and start working on those things and kind of create like a real calm environment. Start talking to your kid about, are they excited? Kind of get into their brain about what they're expecting for the new school year. And, if they're more of a shy individual, kind of maybe see how they can kind of get out of their shell more for the new school year, et cetera, et cetera. So what your positive behavior for your child looks like. So you're just going to do whatever you can to establish those positive behaviors so that when they go to school, they know your expectations. And also not just knowing like what your behavior expectations are, but also any consequences if they do not adhere to those expectations. Okay. So that means, I don't know, taking away your tablet, or, talking to them, or whatever your consequence would be if they are not adhering to the expectations that you set for your homeschool or for public school. All right, strategy number 4. Now, this one is actually kind of important. I think is very important, especially when it comes to the structure of homeschool or any school. Number 4 is you're going to know your standards and you're going to review prerequisites. I'm going to say that again. Know the standards and review prerequisites. So every state has standards, okay? And these standards are for ELA and they're for math, okay? But for you, simply what it is, it's just a guide, okay? It's an academic guide to show you what your kid needs to know when it comes to ELA and what your kid needs to know according to grade level in math, okay? So it's literally a long guide. You can look it up. You can put in your state. So for example, if you live in Kansas, you'd be like, okay, go to Google, say Kansas state standards, right? It's going to pull up. It's free. It's a whole PDF. And what you can do is you can kind of, whatever curriculum you have, kind of maybe lay it out and see what standards that your curriculum addresses and which ones they don't. And then you're going to have to kind of address those gaps. Okay. Now, this is just to make sure. I always tell parents to follow the standards, even if they don't even follow the grade level philosophy, as long as it's like around that age. So if you don't do grades, and say, for example, maybe your child's 10, just making sure your kid knows between like 4th and 5th grade academics or standards or whatever the case may be. But standards is going to help you know, okay, like this is what public schools are doing. This is what other kids are learning or supposed to learn. I'm not gonna lie. They don't even go through all of the standards, but it's just going to I know there's a difference between minor standards and key standards. So key standards or priority standards is what you're really going to try to follow. Make sure that your child, no matter what, knows that. Also, if your state requires, which a lot of states do, if they require assessments, especially if you're around 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, you're going to want to go ahead and follow those standards anyway, because guess what? A lot of that stuff that's on most state standards are also going to be on whatever end of grade test or whatever assessments you have your child taking. So making sure you understand that, and also along with the standards, if you are taking any tests, making sure that you're kind of familiar with that. Some tests are every quarter, and some tests are just once a year. So it just depends on how you want to prepare. So you're going to be preparing not only for the school year with the standards, and the standards are going to be simple things. So I'll probably do like a whole separate video about that. But just knowing those standards, going through and being like, okay, like for example, they'll be like, your child needs to know the main idea of a grade level text, right? Or they need to know the text structure of a grade level text, or it's going to be a lot more detailed. Of course, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but knowing those standards is definitely going to give your child a leg up, and it's going to prevent any type of gaps in your instruction. Okay. So I'm giving you guys the power here to make sure that, hey, you are doing just as well, if not better, than the public school. Okay. Like, no offense, but if it's you and your kid, you're most likely going to do better than the public school anyway, if you're really on it. And by following those standards, there's no way you can fail at that. Okay. So follow those state standards. I'm actually going to have some videos coming up about what that means, what it looks like, how to do learning targets, all these vocabulary words that I'm saying. It's going to make a lot more sense with my little series I'm going to do about understanding, unpacking, and how to plan a good lesson like a teacher. Okay. So even if you're homeschooled, guess what? You're about to be a teacher. Okay. You about to be like, you about to be in there. Okay. How to look at data. We're going to do all of that on this channel. So if you like this type of stuff, go ahead and make sure you like it, comment, and subscribe. This is what you're going to do. But yes, so you're going to know the state standards, and then you're also going to review prerequisites for your child. So this is for everybody. All right. Every child needs, if whatever your child was doing in 3rd grade or case may be, right before the school starts, go ahead and start giving them 2 to 3 days out of the week, 15 minutes a day, going over like, what they were struggling with, or just kind of reviewing over things that they learned from the previous year. Okay. Because what happens is when they go to school, if they go to school, literally the teacher probably takes like 2 weeks to a month trying to catch everybody up and try to reteach a lot of the stuff that they learned from the previous grade. Okay, so if you're a homeschool parent, you probably do the same thing, but instead go ahead and, you know, get ahead a little bit and go ahead and I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But go ahead and start going over those prerequisites. Okay, go ahead and start. If they were in third grade, I'm just going to use third grade for an example. Go ahead and review over that multiplication, those strategies, division. Go ahead and go over main idea. Go ahead and go over those reading strategies, inferencing, visualization. All those things, just little bite pieces, and do little activities right before the school year starts. So they're already ready, okay? And then your child can, and if they go to public school, hopefully if they have a good teacher, they'll go ahead and start them on what they're supposed to be learning for that grade level. But if it's you'll go ahead and start the grade they're supposed to start on day one, because you're already front loading a lot of those prerequisites and a lot of things that they already should know before they even start the lesson, or before they even start the new grade level. So yeah, so that is strategy number 4. Know the standards, review their prerequisites. Okay, read a passage, and these are, and not only just that, but when I say set aside 15 to 20 minutes 2 to 3 times a week, and then have your skill check-ins, you're going to read a passage, have them answer some questions. All right, I will have another video about this as well, but you know, there's you know, reading a passage, answering questions, do a math challenge, do some short journal entries. And it doesn't have to be rigid, because I mean, let them still enjoy their summer, but just have some fun activities that's going to still show that, hey, they remember what they learned last year. Okay, we're not just starting from square one. So yes, doing some fun educational activities like that, keeping it engaging, keeping it fun. Get it off the paper. You know what I'm saying? Maybe have them read a book and maybe act out the summary in their own words or something, or make them, if they're older, go ahead and maybe have them make a YouTube video or something about one interesting thing that they've done this summer, and persuade them to, you know, there's so many different avenues and different ways that you can go about it. Just make it fun, make it engaging. And of course, the main thing is make sure that they are going over those prerequisites and they already hit all of them. They already understand them. So when the new year comes in, you're just ready. Okay. All right. This ensures your child doesn't start behind and gives them confidence on day one. Okay. Because they're already being preloaded. They're like, oh, I already started school, kind of like little mini school. So this is nothing, right? So very good. So yes, know the standards and review over the prerequisites. All right, and last but not least is our last strategy. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're almost there. We're almost to the end. All right, so encourage curiosity and real world learning. Okay, that's what we're going to do. You're going to encourage curiosity and real world learning. Okay, so we've been talking about academics. We've talked about routines. We're talking about behavior. Now it's time to step away from the typical school box. And this is the time to go crazy. All right, so you're going to sit your child down and you'll be like, hey, what do you want to learn about? Right? Maybe your child's like, I want to learn about physics or something. I don't know. Maybe they're like, hey, I'm interested in coding, or hey, I'm interested in learning Spanish, or whatever, right? And you're going to take that curiosity and you're going to make sure that you do something throughout the year coming up, or plan something that's going to help that child cultivate that learning and that curiosity, okay? Because I know a lot of times we like to just be like, oh, we need to just, you know, stick to what the schools are doing or whatever, but you as a parent, you're the parent. So if they want to get into volunteering, or they want to get into budgeting, or they want to know how to start a business, or whatever that is, you have the power now to go ahead and be like, okay, I see your interest. Let's go ahead and start creating something, or maybe getting you into a class, or you know, supplementing some type of some type of activity that's going to cultivate that learning and that growth. Okay, so encourage curiosity and real world learning. Okay, take the kids outside, out of the house. All right, take them to the library, take them to the bank, take them to places where they are going to actively learn, and go ahead and use that as your classroom. All right, and this is for every parent. Every parent should be doing this anyway. I'm going to go ahead and, of course, give you guys some ideas about what that looks like. I know it sounds probably crazy, but it kind of does something a little bit more than just, it's all about AB, you know, teaching your kids always all about 1 + 1 = 2. Like, they also need some life skills. So get them out there, get them socializing, get them collaborating with other people, etc. So creating that curiosity and real world learning is crucial. Okay, so you're teaching your child academics are important, but so is life learning, so is budgeting, so is taxes. Okay, and that's what HTD Joe was talking about earlier. He was asking, okay, like, what about financial literacy? Da, da, da. Yes, you're teaching them all that stuff. Okay, and of course, every year is going to be different. I'm not saying just go crazy with it, but maybe just put down 3 things that maybe your child that you want. How about this? Put down 3 things that your child is curious about that they would like to learn about, and then also put down 3 things that you think that your child should learn about life, or your child should learn about the world around them. Okay, and then kind of put that together, and then go ahead and push out some activities, push out some experiences so that they can do that. Now, there is also a place that I think that everybody would really be excited about, and it's called OutSchool. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. OutSchool, also a place where I tutor. OutSchool is a great place for parents to learn everything from how to play a tuba to how to budget your finance books, and it's all for kids. It's for kids from toddlers, basically 3-year-olds, all the way up to 18, right? So they have all sorts of different types of things to explore and learn from adults and from teachers that are actually experts in that. So if your child's into acting and they want to get into acting, OutSchool would be a great place for that. If your child is trying to learn Mandarin, they have classes for that. Is your child trying to learn how to draw Minecraft characters? They have that on OutSchool. So if you're kind of finding yourself, my child wants to do this, but I don't have the expertise, go to OutSchool. It's going to be linked down in the description, and go ahead and start your account so that you can get started. Okay. But yes, so that kind of goes along with real world learning and curiosity. There's thousands and thousands of classes up there. That's a great place to start, but I'm sure there's also other places, but that's the place I would recommend for you guys. So you're going to encourage independence, creativity, critical thinking, and this allows for your kids, like I said, to be curious, right? To step away from the non-academic experiences and kind of help them in different ways and help them learn that. All right, so let's go ahead and review the 5 strategies for back to school success. Number 1, we're going to ask for provision from Christ. We're going to pray about it. Everybody has different situations. You're going to ask God himself. He's going to lead you to the path you need to be on. Number 2, you're going to begin being prepared now. You're going to establish your plans. You're going to establish what this upcoming year is going to look like. You're going to buy your supplies, get your uniforms, your lunch plans. If you're a homeschool parent, you're going to go ahead and figure out what co-op they're going to be a part of, what classes they might be taking online, or whatever the case may be, however you structure your homeschool year. But you're going to prepare. Number 3, you're going to establish positive behaviors, in-class behaviors now. So how they act around, it might be more relaxed at home, but reintroducing those expectations and behavior expectations is very important. Those positive behavior expectations, and of course those routines. So of course their morning routine, their nighttime routine, getting them to bed on time for the school nights, and making sure that you just do that, just slowly acclimating them into a routine and those positive behaviors, along with any type of consequence that might come with the behaviors that are not positive. Okay, so you're going to do that. Number 4, you're going to know the standards and review the prerequisites. Okay, we're going to go into this a little deeper a little later. But yes, you're going to understand what standards are. You're going to look them up on Google. Just put your state and then put the standards. And then you're also going to go ahead and start reviewing those prerequisites that your child learned the previous year. Or if they're brand new, you're going to make sure that your child just knows like the basics, right? So like ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, etc. Whatever that looks like for you and your child, go ahead and start doing that. All right, and then number 5, of course, you're going to encourage curiosity and real world learning. Okay, so this is non-academic. You're going to see what your child is into. You're going to also kind of think of what you would like to share with your child and want your child to learn. All right, anything that you want to pass down. I know for me, I would love for my kids to learn how to invest in stocks eventually. I would love for my kids to learn how to open a high yield savings account, et cetera, et cetera. So whatever you think that's going to be important for your child at this point in time, where they can understand it, this is the time to do it. All right, this is the time to kind of establish those plans and make sure that you intertwine it along with the academics. Okay, so you're going to mix non-academics, maybe acting, tuba lessons, Mandarin, like learning a language, mixed in with your regular academics. Okay. And that is it. All right, guys. So that wraps up today's 5 powerful strategies to start the year off. All right. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, drop a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Or were there any strategies that I missed? What do you normally do to prepare for the back to school year? If you're homeschool, public school, or in private school, what do you kind of do to prepare for that? And then and don't forget to subscribe, of course. This is your type of thing. If this is your type of mojo to help your child excel, this is the place for you, and I am welcome to have you. All right. So, also, I have a few more, one more thing I do want to mention. I will also be linking it probably with this video, like when I like edit it and stuff, but I also have some books as well, that I would love for you guys to read if your child is under any of these categories. So the 2 books I have are Cultivate Your Child to Use ADHD as an Asset. So there is a book about how to use the strengths of ADHD to help your child excel in life. And then I also have Cultivate Your Child to Overcome Anxiety. Okay, that's also going to be linked down below as well. Okay, check those out. I also have, last but not least, my Divine Learning and Publishing website. Okay, there I also post resources. I post coaching services. I post I post a bunch of stuff on that website. So that's my one-stop hub if you want to just check out other things that I have available. And that is it. So I hope that you really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed being up here. I was a little nervous, but now I'm getting into my mojo. So we can only get better from here. All right, I'm going to do a closing scripture. Proverbs 1:5. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands attain guidance. Okay, so we're always learning. We're always growing. And by doing that, we're going to be wise. Okay. As we gear up for the school year, remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. Just keep showing up, keep preparing, and keep praying. All right. Thank you so much for being here today. I will see you next Monday at 1 p.m. Bye-bye. See you later. All right. I don't even know how to end this.